Good afternoon and welcome to More Tea Minister. My name is Ian. In today's video, we are reviewing a tea that we looked at in our previous video, Jethikupi First Pick from Gopal, but we're going to be brewing it in the Gongfu style, in the same way we first reviewed Ja'aum, the Bhutanese tea, and then we brewed it in a Gongfu style. So we're doing the same thing again. And just as with the Ja'aum, I have no idea how this is going to turn out. I simply hope that this will be as flavoursome and as fresh and tasty as it was to brew it in a Western style. So just to remind ourselves what we're dealing with here, we are looking at a first flush Darjeeling tea, which is technically a black tea, but hopefully you can see that it's very far from being a black tea. It looks more like a green tea or perhaps a green oolong. And so to brew the tea, we have our trusted transparent jug, our gaiwan, our drinking cup, and our wide brim strainer, because I have a feeling we'll have to pour the tea very quickly to avoid over-steeping. Even with the Western style of brewing, we had to be careful not to use too much tea and to have the water at 85 degrees centigrade. We have the same temperature at the minute, and hopefully it won't be too high a temperature. And because this gaiwan comfortably fits about 100 milliliters of water, I've decided to play it safe, and instead of using 5 grams of tea, it's 4.7. If that's too dilute, I can always use less water for further steepings. As always, I'm not going to take the tea all the way to exhaustion, to the point where there's no flavor, because that wouldn't be very interesting for viewers, and I don't want to test your patience anymore than I usually do. What I'm very interested to find out, first of all, is what is the smell of the tea leaves on hot eatingware, on the drinkingware. So I'm going to refresh the water, the hot water that goes into the gaiwan, just for a few seconds, and we'll pour it out and we'll see what that does to the smell of the leaves when they're dry. That's our wastewater all down there. So let's try our dry leaves in the gaiwan and see what they smell like. In our previous video, I noted that there was what really came across was a grassy herbal note, but it was mostly fruit. So it'd be interested to see what it's like in a hot gaiwan. Do you know, it's the fruit that's come out. The fruit's even stronger. It's like a kind of ripe fruit. That's what comes out when it's in hot gaiwan. So, I know I say so a lot, but I figure it's better than saying and or. Let's put in our first 100 mils. We count the seconds from the minute the water hits the tea to begin with. And we're going to give that about 12 seconds. Let's call it 50, just to wake the leaves up. So this is 15 seconds in. Avoid breaking everything. What's the smell like on the lid? There's a little astringency there, or at least there's a little bit of herbal along with the fruit, but it's not unpleasant, and I don't think it's been over stewed. Oh, that's interesting. It's really grassy. The first pouring on the gaiwan, it's really, really grassy. The fruit isn't there. Let's see what it's like in the taste. It's no different from the cup than it is from the jug. It's sweet and it's grassy. You might think it was a savory green tea. It's not unpleasant, but the floral notes aren't there at all. So let's see if they come out in our second steeping. It didn't seem dilute, so I think we'll stick to 100 again. Maybe push that for a few seconds longer. There's some leaves. I know I'm not supposed to do it that way. There's a few leaves stuck to the inside of the gaiwan. Let's make sure with a wee shugel. Regulars will know that word by now. And let's push it past, just a tiny bit past 20 seconds. Let's go for 22 seconds. Let's see. Still no fruit. If it is, it's very faint. There we go. See what this one's like. I didn't check the color. I didn't show you the color of the first one. It was a sort of pale yellow. This one looks a more vibrant color already. It's not far off the color from a Western steeping. A yellow color. It's not a rich color and it's not peely-wally. There's a good local word. It's just a yellow color. On the nose, there might be a hint of the florals, but of the fruit, I beg your pardon. But it's still more like a sweet green tea. So let's see what it's like. Oh, that's a bit more. There's a bit more of the floral of the fruity on the cup, on the jug. Mm-hmm. The florals are starting to come through, but they're not there yet. I don't want to alter the ratio. I think we'll stick to 100 for our third one. If this looks promising, we might push it for a fourth, or we might do something radical and cut the video short. That's slightly into 100. See if that helps with the steeping, because I do worry that even at 85 degrees, we might end up cooking the leaf if we're not careful. If we push it much past, let's say 30, but we'll take it, let's take this to 35 seconds, and let's see where that gets us. Let's take a sniff, about 25 there. Sweet, but that's about as much as it's revealing. Or letting us know, you might say. Right, okay, let's try that. Ah, that's looking greener. Yes, I would say that's more of a greeny gold, but hopefully, if the camera behaves itself, you can be judges as well. Yeah, it's definitely more green in that. On the nose. Honey? I would say honey rather than fruit, but it's still very sweet. Mm. Maybe it's like a stewed fruit. That's what I think that's what it might be. Mm. The fruit is coming through. I think for this last steeping, I might cut the water down. Might use more like 90, sorry, beg your pardon, 90 mils. Let's see if concentrating it will help us. It's there. As I say, I don't want to risk overheating it. So maybe less water, and we'll push it towards 40 seconds. Maybe that will be enough to get the best out of it. Certainly the flavor isn't abating so far, which is a good sign. I don't feel as if it's running out of juice, but I'll reserve my opinions on whether it's worth doing Gongfu in a few seconds. I think that should do. Okay, what kind of color have we got this time? Bearing in mind that a smidgen less water, a dark yellow green, which is not really a surprise. It's a bit more concentrated. On the nose, a little of the stewed fruit, but that's about it. It certainly smells stronger of fruit in the cup than it does to the taste. That's what the last steeping told us. Okay, one very last quick steeping. I'm sorry, I promised you I wouldn't take too long, but I think we might be there. Then we will. In fact, what we might do to save a bit of time is to discuss our findings now, bearing in mind that we already discussed the availability of this tea and ease of brewing when it came to a Western style of brewing. If you're familiar with the Gaiwan, this is not complicated. You just have to be swift with the timings. The beauty is, of course, that you don't have to brew this in a Gongfu style, and it works perfectly well and perfectly easily on a Western style of brewing. The tea is readily available, and the Western style of the flavor profile is absolutely delightful. So we're going to see whether this elusive fruity quality comes through on what's going to definitely be our last steeping, given we've once again gone over 10 minutes. All right, let's try that. The fruit might be there. It's certainly a dark gold green. Let's hope the fruits come out this time. It's not as strong on the nose from the cup. I'm afraid to say that the fruity note has proved to be rather elusive when done with Gongfu. The tea isn't over steeped. I don't know whether a few extra degrees would make a difference, but all in all, I wouldn't recommend brewing it Gongfu. I would stick to the Western style. It's very easy and it's very effective. So that's my news for the day. I do thank you if you have watched this video, and I do hope that it's been of some use to you, perhaps even some interest. It just remains for me to wish you happy steeping and to say, God bless.